Got a couple announcements. Y'all know our location right now. I'm gonna double check this week. We're supposed to be moving to the Sirius building in the lower level. Like if you walk in the back door of the Sirius building, like you're going in and take the driver's test or whatever you do through the back side, those steps immediately, you go down those steps and right to the left. It's double the space we got now. Got his own bathroom and a few other amenities. We gonna pay the same rent. You know, but that's where we moving. Y'all see them pods out there, so they load everything up. So I'm thinking before the end of the month, but we'll put it out there. So y'all need to get a couple numbers. So we're gonna put it out there, but we'll make sure we put some on the door too. But I'm thinking we'll be going by the end of the month. If they do the construction, I went by there last Friday. They're doing a lot of rehab because this is a rehab facility. It's called New Beginnings. We just rent space from them, but we spiritually getting rehab. We need it too. So that's what we be. They already told us, look, this y'all spot over here, don't nothing change, you know, and it'll be the same time. So y'all, that's what we trying to move, y'all. We're trying to keep this thing going. And the Most High is blessing us. And one day, y'all, we probably get our own spot, you know, but until then, we got to keep it pushing. We got to keep it pushing. Anybody got any questions? We got OG and Jake. Is they still out there? Who got the walkie-talkie? Who got that? Did Canard leave out? Who got the other one right here? Anybody hearing that? Check one. Who got that? Oh, you got it in your pocket, boy. All right. Go ahead.
Hey, my phone, I just lost all my numbers in my phone. I had to get a new phone, same number. So if anybody used to get the scripts that we send out during the week and you ain't got none in a couple days, leave me y'all number and name on it, and I'm restore back the phone. Yeah, y'all can do that as well.
You got the same number?
Same exact number, I just ain't got it.
Can we just text you it and it'll come up?
I don't know your number.
683-4128. I found it. I had 683-4128.
I was wondering why I had got Right.
Okay, y'all, and y'all, like I say, we're gonna put it'll be on YouTube, the Facebook, the move. We're gonna keep y'all aware of when the day will be because we'll start that weekend. But that Friday before, that Thursday before, we're gonna have to move some stuff. The only thing in this room belongs to us is these padded chairs, the metal chairs, and the stuff that's in that room back there. So we got one move, and bruh got a box truck, but we're gonna need some elbows, you know, when that day comes. But it's only gonna be one quick move everything we got to the spot, and it be ready for us that Sabbath day. So we're gonna get the word out that Thursday, Friday, whatever, we need somebody up here to start moving our stuff. And there's only gonna be one move, like I say, the chairs. We get a two-wheeler, run them right back to the duck, put them on the truck, get over there, right down the steps and in. But we'll put it out there, y'all. We definitely looking for some volunteers to help out with that. Bro, got a good number now. You got anything else?
That's it.
What you got, D?
We got a website.
Okay, this Whole Foods, y'all. Bruh, right here, he does a lot of community activist type of function and things. He tells us about what's going on, benefits we can get. He tells us about anything like help for the elderly and stuff. He stay on top of that stuff, and he's got a Whole Food book here. Go ahead and express yourself with that, or whatever you got on there. The website on there? Okay, I'll write this website. But it's dealing about whole foods. You know, no pesticides in it, none of that stuff. So it's a website on here I'm going to put on the board. Go ahead. And also, bruh teaches a little bit of self-defense for us. You know what I'm saying? So, and what it is, it's a basic class, y'all. Nothing over the top. What he does is teaches you quick moves, pressure points, how to get somebody up off of you in the time, especially the women. If you're walking alone or you with your children, he got techniques to get somebody up off of you, or put a little heat on them where they'll start asking you to help them with the scriptures. Either way they like. But we get down like that, and he's just going to express himself a little bit concerning that.
My name is Brother Darren. This magazine right here is the hub for all your holistic information. What you know is 2,500 companies. That's
Hold it down, y'all.
That's what they have for the holistic people, manufacturers, suppliers, and individuals. We're going to give you this website. This magazine would have cost you $25, but you get it for free. You get the website. Each family should have this. It got, when you go through it, it's gonna be a lot. You got like over 400 different websites in here for you to go to. From like I say, natural things. They got different. I mean, it's worldwide. So the reason why I want you to have it, because a lot of people won't get it to you. A lot of people you come to, Hindus, Muslims, and so forth like that, they bring false doctrine. The feminist movement, when you start ordering books and so forth, they're going to have their movement in there. You're going to have to separate, you got to discern yourself. You got to separate their foolishness and just take out what's good. Right. Okay. My website is Planet Intox. My wife's birth certificate, Booty.com. Make sure you come to those sites to get a lot of information. I put a martial art from first white belt through the fifth dan of my particular system. I put it on my website, so you'll better go through that. Again, like I said, I've been in martial arts since I was 12 or 44 years old. You know, I'm certified like in all systems and other systems. I took some training on my own and trained with other people. The most famous of my instructors you probably know him by the name of Daniel Sano. He's in the Game of Death with Bruce Lee. If you don't know the Game of Death, look it up. He's the guy with the 2 sticks. He's a Filipino martial artist. He's one of my instructors. He's probably the most famous of my instructors that you all probably know. He took a system called Kali. He taught me Kali when I was about 15 years old. If you all know Paul Renewed, he's also a famous instructor. I know a lot of people. I have I showed Malachi. I have an Air Force Command Sergeant Major. He signed one of my certificates. So basically, my system is already down. Like get a hold of Malachi if you can't get a hold of me. Get a hold of Brother Daniel if you can't get a hold of me. Come to the website. Okay, first time.
All right, brother. Right, bro. Right on. All right, we got OG Maddox back here, and this brother who turned Brother Jacob on back in the 80s. And also, y'all seen the Hebrew One site, y'all heard him on the radio. That's who y'all was listening to. But this is OG Maddox. He was actually with Elder Casey back in the day. And talk a few things. He just got a few things he want to say to us right quick, y'all. And we're going to get back in, y'all. We're going to finish up the 5th and 6th chapter of Genesis. But bro got a few words he want to share with us.
You need to share Elder, you good.
I don't know yet.
Keep it right there for you.
They call him the doctor, y'all.
We might have to pick me up.
We got you.
All hail, brothers and sisters of the Israelite Bible class in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm very impressed. About 30 years ago, I ran up on a young man named Jacob Israel. Jacob, will you stand up where everybody can see you?
That's the Hebrew. Brother Jacob right there.
That young man right there intrigued me. He messed me all the way up. And then the next thing I knew, I met another brother. He's not here today. His name is Robert Knight.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
I used to call him Robert Knight. Then the next brother I met was this brother here named KT. Over 30-some years ago. And the next brother I met was named Brother Ozell. Where did he go?
How old is he from St.
I'm 62 years old. Back in the early 60s, I left Mississippi because I grew up during the civil rights era. And I lived only 6 miles from where Emmett Till was killed. Most of you all don't know who Emmett Till were. But the ones of you that do know who Emmett Till was, they murdered him in a little town called Money, Mississippi, right outside of Greenwood. And they tied a fan gin motor around his neck after they had went into his house his grandfather's house about 2 o'clock in the morning and shot the kid in the head, tied him behind a pickup truck, and drug him to his death. His head was about this big. It looked like a car tire in the casket. Only because he stuttered when he talked, and he showed a little white girl and some white boys that he had white friends in Chicago. So his mother took his body back to Chicago for the whole world to see what they had done to her son, Emmett Till. During that time, Medgar Evers and killed the 3 civil rights workers in a little town north of me in Philadelphia, Mississippi, and they buried them in a lake. The president of the United States at that particular time was named Lyndon Baines Johnson. Johnson's wife made them dig that lake up. And she told her husband, "You make them dig that lake up, them boys in that lake." And they start digging in the lake bed, and lo and behold, that's where they found their 3 bodies at Philadelphia, Mississippi. Right now, Philadelphia, Mississippi is it's a Choctaw reservation. They have casinos, they got golf courses, they got all kinds of money-making deals that the United States government gave them. Now, remind you, our forefathers is the one that built this country. If it hadn't been for us, America never would have got off the ground floor, because the Indians was not going to do nothing. I was born on the Choctaw Reservation. KT kept this class alive, and this is totally a new group. Most of you all, I don't know you all. Back in the early 60s, I met an old man by the name of Lucius Casey. For some reason, he liked me because I was looking for something and I couldn't find it because white people had killed my parents down in Mississippi, and I didn't know what was wrong. I didn't know where to go to. And one day I stumbled upon this old man that was teaching the Bible class on 6th and 9th Normal in Chicago, Illinois. There has been several Israelite groups have sprung up since then throughout the United States. But I can tell you for sure, he was the first one that started the Israelite Bible class in the United States of America. And what made him start reading the Bible, he said he had looked everywhere else for the answer. And he couldn't find no answer to why we was in the condition that we was in. And when he read in the Bible that Jeremiah was black, he said, "Oh, I got something now." And remind you, this brother was illiterate, like me. He couldn't read and write. I can't read and write. He was illiterate, totally illiterate. He learned how to read and write. He couldn't read and write his name in boxcar letters if they floated across in front of him. But what happened, in 1929, the Depression started. And he said, ain't one other place to turn to, and that's the Bible. And he started reading the Bible. And when he discovered Jeremiah was black, when he discovered God was black, he says, over now. He said he waited 5 years before he opened his mouth because he knew he had to run up against them preachers. And preachers was his #1 enemy. And still our #1 enemies until this very day, his ministers. Because what they have done, they have took the Bible and twisted it and turned it into their own way of belief and faith. And which I'm quite sure KT have told you all about it and showed you all in the Bible. So I went and got the Bible and told him, I said, did you know God was black? And Jacob looked at me real crazy like, oh yeah, I got some attention now. He said, show me. That's all I wanted him to do. Tell me to show me. I showed him where Jeremiah was black. Showed him where Job was black. I showed him where the children of Israel were black. I think that's Amos chapter 9, verse 7, where God compared the children of Israel with the Ethiopians. Ray Charles Stevens, one of the Jose Felix, and I can see that much. Something is changing now. I'm looking at the expression of these brothers. So Jacob invited me to his house, and I was married and had a family. And the next thing I knew, him and I were sitting down, we were studying the Bible, and we began to research his study. He's one of the greatest researchers I ran across besides myself. Him, KT, they have done their homework. There's a lot more to be done here. There's a lot more that we don't know. That's a lot of information I have to bring from him because I got a library in my house. I got so much material that I don't even know what to do with it myself, but pass it along to someone else. But half of them niggas up there in Milwaukee, they don't want to hear nothing but their churches and what they preachers got to say. And what they preachers got to say is what the bird left on the lamb last night. I have to tell you what that was. That was an old slave house up in southern Illinois. And I told Jacob about it. And he wanted to see it. He wanted to film it. Him and this brother here named Rob. Moses, whatever his name is. This nigga, they came up there. It was 1987, and we went to the slave house. I don't know whether any of you all seen the tapes yet. But anyway,
Hold down, y'all.
as we went up in there, it was smoldering hot that particular day. And I did Deuteronomy chapter 28 to show why we were in slavery to match the slave house. The trick was, it started in Cairo, Illinois. When the blacks escaped from the South, when they got to Cairo, the river becomes one again. The Ohio comes down on the east side of the United States, and the Mississippi comes down on the west side of the United States. But when it gets to Cairo, it drops so many thousand feet from sea level all the way to Venice, Louisiana, where it dumps in the Gulf of Mexico. It is one of the most dangerous rivers in the world, the Mississippi, is deep. On the Ohio side, I'm a master welder by trade. We built a lock and dam there, and there was places in it that was 70 and 80 feet deep. On the Ohio side, the Ohio is not as treacherous as the Mississippi. But the further south you get, the Mississippi gets deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, because it starts in Minnesota. Where it starts at in Minnesota, I've been there. A little child can step across the Mississippi River. Certain places up in Winona, Minnesota, it looked like lakes, the Mississippi River does. But the further south you get, the deeper it gets. When the slaves escaped from the South, they had a trap set up there for them. They didn't know whether to go right or left. In Cairo, I said, something is wrong here. The old man had told me, he said, OG, he said, no, you should be a genius, as many books as you got. And I started telling him I am a genius. I said, I'm gonna find that slave. Yeah. He died in 1978 from prostate cancer. I hate it. But you talking about a man that could teach and talk the Bible. He did. Elijah Poole was on one corner in Washington Park. He was on the other corner. He used to have a bullhorn. He would get out on the street and teach black people the truth. That's where Benjamin Carter and them come from. That's over in Dimona, Israel right now. Lucius Casey taught them. He told them, he said, look, it's not time to go yet. It's not time to go yet. So Benjamin Carter went over there and set himself up as God. And everybody that went over there to visit him, he took their visa where they couldn't come back. Except one friend of mine, her name is Lou. She said, oh, no, you ain't getting my visa. Now, Ben Carter, I know you, I'm not calling you no God. And he knew she was a very feisty woman. He knew he couldn't do nothing to her. So finally, she came back to the United States, and then she was telling how he was treating the children of Israel over there and how they was calling him God and Jesus and whatever. But anyway, now it's in an uproar. Now he's begging for money, he's doing this, he's doing that. But there's fixing to be a war over there, and they're going to get caught up in that war. Now, there's a white man out of Chicago, Illinois. Him and I have been dialoguing for the last 30 years. He is bringing the Ethiopian Jews into Israel now, called Wings of Eagle. But Jacob Israel was the first one that showed them to me, because we went to a synagogue one night here in St. Louis. He said, man, come to St. Louis, man. He said, they're going to have this brother here from Ethiopia called, his name was Daniel or David, Daniel. Yes. So as we were sitting there, this Edomite woman, she was saying that these people here descended from King Solomon. I said, oh, no, she didn't say that. These people descended from King Solomon. So I raised my hand. I said, I'm going to ask you a question then. I said, where did the blacks in the United States come from then? If these people here came from King Solomon, we all the same color. She said, well, now, I really don't know where the blacks in the United States come from. I stuck her deep. So I said to myself, I said, I know where they come from. I said, they come from the same place. We were the last 2 tribes to leave out of Jerusalem, because the other 10 tribes had been in captivity up under the Assyrians for over 100 years before we left out. And that was Benjamin and Judah. The reason God brought us to the United States of America is because we are Judah. That's the tribe that God himself was born through. That's why he sent us to the best places. That's why we did not end up in Assyria suffering like the brothers and the other 10 tribes that he scattered to the 4 corners of the earth. The Virgin Islands were the bank where they held the slaves there. Whenever they killed so many slaves in the United States, Willie Lynch came over here and taught the white man how to enslave. Skates used to tell me, he said he used to see them tie black people to a horse and beat them and prance them until they just tear their body apart. Head go here, leg go here, and foot would go over there, and it disturbed him. So he told me he sneaked out of Mississippi and he went to Memphis. And when he got to Memphis, he said a white woman propositioned him just like Joseph down in Egypt. He said, oh no, I got to get out of Memphis. So he had to flee Memphis and go to Chicago. Because he said, I'm not going to get harmed down here messing with the white woman in Mississippi. I said, I know what you mean. because that's exactly what they did back in those days. And the burning and the lynching that they did. They used to take a black person and pile brush up on top of them, pour gasoline on them. And then they would send postcards all around the United States of America and give people time to catch the train, stagecoaches there to the Lincoln in order to put fear in us. Because Willie Lynch was the one that taught them how to train a slave. He said, "You giving away all you're killing all your profit." He said, "You're killing your slaves." He said, "You're doing the wrong thing." He said, "That ain't the way to do it." He said, "Get the strongest nigga you got and get all the slaves together. And let me give you a demonstration." Tied them to some horses and some mules. And they just tore the brother apart. And that put fear in all of the other slaves around. Now, if it wasn't for the Mexicans, now, a cabbage and an onion would cost about $30. Because black people is not going back to no field anymore. Y'all will sell dope, y'all will sell wine, you'll sell whiskey, you'll sell anything, but you ain't going back to no field. And the white man knows that. So I'm not going into a lot of things, but there's a lot of things that's still missing that we don't know because the Bible is not written in chronological order. Right. But it's one thing I want to touch on, and that is, before you can understand the Revelation, you got to understand the book of Daniel. And that is that dream that Nebuchadnezzar had that he couldn't remember. Daniel had to come in and interpret the dream for him. And I'm quite sure KT done went through that with you all. So, but during the interpretation of the dream, from the head of the image to the 10 toes of the image, we're living in the 10 toes now. Because the 10 European common market nations is fixing to come together. And it's going to be 10 only when it finalized. And then in 1 hour, the Bible says that they will announce them a leader. And that leader will be the Antichrist. But you all touched on something here. I was listening to you all read about Cain and Abel. And Cain was not none of Adam's son. Cain was the serpent's son. The serpent was not a snake crawling on the ground. The serpent was a two-legged man walking on 2 feet, just like we are. Eve did not eat no apple. It don't even mention an apple or apple tree in Genesis chapter 3. Eve had a sexual relationship with the serpent because she thought she had gotten a man from the Lord. God hadn't told them that he created the devil when he had formed Adam and Eve from the dust of the ground. You take the young ball players and put tattoos on themselves. What it's doing is conditioning your mind for the mark of the beast, 666. When they put that number on your forehand or on your right hand or your forehead. But whoever take that number, you're going into a lake of fire and you're going to burn forever and ever and ever and ever. It's going to be a lot of hollering and a lot of crying because the fire is 7 times hotter than this fire that we have here today. It's going to be miserable for the rest of your entire life. But I came to St. Louis and Brother Jacob showed me this here paper, the Evening World, and I looked at it. I said, man, where you get this paper from? He said, man, they're all over St. Louis. I said, can you get me as many as you can? I said, I need about 100 of them. Just get me as many as you can. So I had stacks of them. He used to send me. So I called me a few weeks ago, and I asked them, did they still have the Evening World? And I looked, and it said, inmate bites man's ear off over gambling debt and flushed it down the toilet. How wicked can you get? Over a gambling debt, you bite a man's ear off. We are living in the last seconds of the last days, young people. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm so proud of KT for what he have done, him and Jacob, Israel, in order to keep y'all abreast of what's going on and what's happening in the world, and to teach you all your true identity. Because we have been lied to from plantation to plantation to plantation. I have a paper here called the Trumpet Newsletter, and I get it every month. And y'all was speaking of the devil, and it said, a flood of evil in the last days. I looked at this paper, I said, oh yeah, it is now. And then Jacob called me. He called me every day. He told me something about bath salt. I said, what is that? A drug called bath salt where a man ate a man's face off and both of them laying down naked. I said, wait a minute. Sure you sure you know what you're talking about? He said, I'm going to send you a link. It's a new drug. This new evil that has come upon us. It is here in every city, every town you go into. So a lot of people is fleeing out of the cities going back south. They're doing the same type of killing down there as they're doing here and everywhere else. Memphis, Tennessee has turned into a war zone. Because of drug dealers out of Chicago, they go to these small towns, and what they do, they trick little young kids into being their mules and selling drugs and tell them how much money you can make. They ain't going to McDonald's and get no job. Man, you ain't got to go to McDonald's and get no job working for minimum wage. I can make you more money than you ever seen in your life. Talking about the devil again, that's what this guy said in his paper. It intrigued me. Say unto them, as I live, saith the Lord God, I have no pleasure in the death of the wicked, but that the wicked turn from his ways and live. Turn ye from your evil ways. The evening world is one of them. Your evil ways. For why will you die? Why you want to die? O house of Israel. Therefore, thou son of man, say unto the children of thy people, the righteousness of the righteous shall not deliver them in the day of his transgression. As for the wickedness of the wicked, he shall not fall thereby in the day that he turneth from his wickedness. If you turn from your wickedness, you won't fall. That's what God is saying. And you read this in Revelation. As for the wickedness of the wicked, he shall not fall thereby in the day that he turneth from his wickedness, neither shall the righteous be able to live for his righteous. When I shall say to the righteous that he shall surely live. All you have to do is stop your wickedness and turn to God. If he trusts in his own righteousness, preachers, and commit iniquity, preachers and niggas, all his righteousness shall not be remembered. But, and when you see the word but, you better believe some problem is going to follow after the word but. In the way you read it in the Bible. But for his iniquity that he has committed, he shall not die for it. God is so merciful, he's going to give you a chance. But that don't mean keep on doing your wickedness and think you're going to get away with it now. Because there's going to be a judgment day. He's going to judge each and every one of us. He's the greatest secretary that has ever lived. Everything you do, he write it down. He write it down. I'm here to witness to you because he got me, OG. Brothers and sisters, it's a pleasure meeting y'all. There's a lot of other things I gotta say.
Come again.
But I don't have time to do it because you all in the middle of something. And I'm not going to prolong your time any longer. I'm gonna let KT take back over the class and continue. I just wanted to introduce myself to you all.
Like that. When y'all see the Slave House video, y'all see him when he was young and spry. With his silk suit on. Yeah. Where can we get that video? It's online now on the Jacob channel, Mr. Hebrew One. You can check it out there. YouTube it. All one word, Mr. Hebrew One. And he got a couple classes because they do a Friday night show. Pal Talk, Mr. Hebrew One. You can Google that, but most of y'all probably remember being on the radio back in the day. Yeah,
I forgot to say something. I also have a rap song here that I did too.
You did a rap song?
2 years ago.
What's it called?
It's called Catastrophe.
It was a rapper, was like in the studio.
Right. Well, you put it down like Pop Williams.
It's worse than that.
Okay. All right, y'all, we're gonna get right back to Genesis 4th chapter, and we get back into the lineage of Adam. But when we get into 5, we're gonna see chapter 5. We're gonna see Adam's lineage, and we won't see Cain involved in her. And I know it's a lot of times where you see things, and it looks like it's saying something, but once you put all of the pieces together of the Bible, you'll understand it clearly. The book of Asher, Enoch, and other things that compiled Apocrypha, and it makes the picture more clearer, and you can see exactly what took place. But before we get there, to also for you to understand that trees were people back in them days, mostly angels at the time, and you're looking at what was going on, that the Bible never talks about tree as a literal tree. Every time it mentions the word tree, out of probably the 100 times it said, 99 of it is talking about human beings or people. The one time it does mention about a fig tree is withered away or is never told that fruit are going. It was just used as an example. But let's hit Ezekiel 31 and then we're going to get right back to Genesis 4. I just want you to see clearly what it's talking about, who the trees were in the Garden of Eden.